Hi everyone. Today I'm interviewing Mike. Now, Mike has 4 businesses and he is calling himself the Mega Multi Mike. So we are going to find out from him today how he's managing all 4 businesses and also how he got the concept for all of them. Please join us, it's going to be fun. Are you thinking of becoming an entrepreneur, but you're not exactly sure if that is for you? Or you have tried a few times, but you have failed? Or maybe you are currently on your journey, but you're not exactly sure you're taking the right path and if you're doing the right things. Follow along on this podcast where I will be sharing my entrepreneurial journey with you all. I will be sharing my successes, my failures, and also my challenges. The best part is I will also be interviewing fellow entrepreneurs that will be sharing their stories and their successes. This is my podcast, Entrepreneurial Journey, and I am Joy Nicholson. Hi everyone. As you all know, I have started this podcast to inspire or motivate entrepreneurs that are sitting on the fence to actually start their own business. And today I have Mike, and Mike is a Sorry, Mike, I'm struggling with that one.
Okay.
Mega Multi-Mike is his business, and he's got 4 successful business streams. And today he's going to talk to us about how he juggles all of that and how he still has a social life and how he is so successful. So hi, Mike.
Hey, thanks for having me on the podcast.
Thank you so much for coming on. I'm so excited to hear your story. I think this is going to be amazing for a lot of people because
Awesome.
I do feel that entrepreneurs are always thinking when they start out, how am I going to juggle life and, be successful in businesses and, have a job.
For sure. Yeah.
So this is,
it's a tough thing to juggle, especially when you've never done it before.
That is exactly true. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Where you're from, what's your hobbies, what do you do? Just, personal things, not work related. We'll get to the work related stuff soon. But what makes you tick? What makes you happy?
Yeah. So I'm from a small town in Texas. I currently live in San Antonio, Texas. That's where I've been here for a while now. After graduating high school, I went to Brown University up in Providence, Rhode Island. Did my 4 years there, got 2 degrees, one in mechanical engineering and one in human biology. I got married immediately after college, and my wife pursued a master's degree. So we went to College Station, Texas, to where she attended Texas A&M University. So we lived there for 3 years until she finished, and then came back to San Antonio. She's actually from San Antonio, so it was a good choice for us. And since then, I've just been growing my businesses and, in downtimes, picking up some odd jobs here and there. But, that's part of the entrepreneurial process. When you're growing, you got to go through those growing pains. And that's me in a nutshell. As far as hobbies, I have all kinds of hobbies. I mean, so one thing that I think comes across when people talk to me is that I'm very passionate about a lot of things. But I think the underlying the basis of all that, where that passion comes from, is I just love learning things. I'm a very curious person, so I like to learn things, and then I just really get into it, and then I try to apply those things. So I love music, so I try to learn instruments. I play guitar and bass. I enjoy doing things with my hands. So funny story, and I'll expand on this a little bit later, but I got a free motorcycle, and it totally does not work, but I'm rebuilding it from scratch. And that's a fun project for me. And, it gives me something to do with my hands. It's engaging, and I get to learn while I'm doing it. So, I have a lot of little projects that I do, and we'll get into a little bit about that later. But my wife and I, we don't have any kids yet. This year will be 9 years being married. We have 3 dogs, and we love to do stuff with our dogs and our friends and family. And we like to travel, but sometimes, depending on schedules, it just doesn't happen. But it's part of the priority of our goal setting. I think that's pretty much sums me up.
That's awesome. And you know what? Dogs are kids too. They just have 4 legs and they're furry.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We have a Schnauzer, and she's a very intelligent dog, and it's like having a toddler in the house. Of course, she doesn't I'm glad she doesn't have hands because she'd be grabbing things all the time. But she's a handful sometimes. And we have an older dog. She's a chocolate lab. She's actually a cancer survivor, and she's going blind in one eye. So, we have our dogs are, we treat them like our kids because that's what they are. We got to take care of them.
Yeah, that is so awesome. That is so cute. So have you always been an entrepreneur? Like when was that moment in your life that you thought, okay, this is actually it, I want to be my own boss?
I think it's an interesting question, because I don't think it really ever occurred to me of the idea whether or not entrepreneurship was for me. It kind of just organically happened. So growing up, I saw my dad be involved in a network marketing business. It was in financial services. So I was kind of always around those kinds of people that were, self-starters. They knew what they were after. They went after it. And, a lot of them were also doing it on a part-time basis. So, my dad, as an example, he was a teacher. He taught 4th and 5th grade at the time he started. And then, he was working his business in the evenings and weekends. So I got to see, what the kind of work ethic it took to not only build a business, but have a family and also a full-time job. And then coming out of college, because, my original goal was to go into engineering. I wanted to, work on a lot of biomechanics research. That was my big thing at that time. But coming out of college at the time where the recession was just ending and kind of starting the upswing, there weren't a lot of jobs for people who had no experience in engineering. So I was lucky enough to get a position part-time as a lab manager, but I needed to supplement that income. So I picked up the same network marketing business my dad had started in financial services, and I did that on a part-time basis. And ever since then, a business has always been something that is, for me, necessary. I have never had the good fortune of saying I have a secure job. And, I don't believe in job security. I believe in, if you want to get paid, you should work for it. And, that's just kind of my mentality. But at the same time, I'm not, knocking jobs, because, that they have their role to play, definitely in times where, a good example is when I moved from College Station back to San Antonio. I basically had to start my business all over again. And in the time I had to do that, had no income. So I did need to find work of some kind. And, that was in my mind, it was always about the business, because the business provided me flexibility. And coming from an engineering background, the simplest solution is usually the best solution. And if you build a system that works for you instead of working inside of a system, ultimately that's the most efficient means of generating income. And so for me, it was about, what am I doing right now at this job that I can use to fund the business to make that business work and outperform what I can do with this job. And so that's kind of my mentality I've always had. And, I don't think it really ever came up in my mind, maybe I should start a business. Cause it was it was always an option.
Yes. That's awesome. And it's nice to, if you have that, growing up with that and seeing that work ethic, that is really, really awesome. And, so your concept for your business, okay, obviously you've got 4 multiple streams. We'll get into that just a little bit soon, but what was your concept on your first initial, when you first started out, after, when you had to restart in San Antonio? What was your first thing that you started out, your first concept? How did you get that concept?
Yeah. So are you asking the business that I was working, that I had at the time? So that was the network marketing financial services business. I had already been doing that about 2.5 years.
Okay.
I had multiple licenses. I did different lines of business within financial services.
Yeah.
But at one point I was doing well enough, and one of my associates came to me with a business idea that he heard from a friend of his at church. And his friend was a truck driver. And he's like, hey, we're all from the same hometown. It's very small. There's no place to wash your trucks. So what if I bought a pressure washer and all I did was wash trucks? And I was like, that's an incredible idea, but it's not scalable. And both of them were like, well, since you know a little bit more about business, why don't you help us? And I told them, I'll write your business plan and revise it every quarter in exchange for 15% of the business. And that's what we did. That was how I got into the truck washing business. And that went well. We lasted about a year and a half before we sold, and we sold for a decent profit. And, that was just kind of a happenstance, and I tell people all the time, like, I don't say no to an opportunity until I know enough about it. And for me, I saw that as an opportunity. It was, low cost, low time. It wasn't very time intensive. And I could still, generate something out of it by leveraging the expertise of my business partners. So I did that. And along the way, I also decided to take some of my hobbies. Like I mentioned earlier, I like music, right? So I decided I was going to start a production company and target local musicians who didn't have the budget to go to a studio, and I could hire out, people who were in college studying to be sound engineers, to have them go to people's houses and record mobile. And that was the idea that I had. So I started doing that, and I only did it for a year, just kind of see if it worked. I didn't lose money, but I didn't make any. So, I considered it was an okay success. But I took those skills, and one of the reasons why I chose to start that as a business was because I felt that the money I put into it and the money I got back out of it, I could leverage that to learn new skills that I could take into other environments. And that's what I did. That's kind of how I developed into growing into my consulting business, because I had all these different experiences from, being in the hard sciences to financial services to working with investors and sales, managing businesses, selling a business, and then having the media production side of things under my belt too. Kind of like people saw me as like a jack of all trades, and that was kind of an okay term, because I feel like a jack of all trades is someone who is okay enough at something to say that they can do it. But I feel like my areas of expertise they're broad, but in the things I do within them are very specific, and I do them well. So like in the world of like music, for example, I'm not a great sound musician. I mean, a sound engineer. I'm not a great studio musician. I don't play regularly. I don't, memorize songs very well. But what I am really good at is the production process. So I know how to organize and manage all of those different aspects to make a final product. And that is what I'm really good at. So, awesome. I know the ins and outs of those things, and I can make it work. But when it comes to that one particular area of expertise, that's what I'm good at.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool. And it's quite impressive with how many skills you've got. I just have to tell you that. I'm like, wow, this guy's awesome. So that's very, very
Thank
cool.
You. I think it sounds a lot more impressive than it is. Like for any entrepreneur, it's like at the bare bones. At the end of the day, it's you got to do what it takes to make the business work, right? And that's really how I develop a lot of these skills, is because I went out and started a business to make it work.
That's right. And you've worked hard at it. It didn't just fall in your lap. You
right.
Put a lot of hours into it, right? So getting to that, how many hours do you think you spend on average, putting into your business? Not considering the time that you have to, because you like me, we like to learn new things all the time. So apart from that, your actual hours that you work every week on your, okay, obviously you've got 4 business streams, so you're a lot more busier than normal people. But how many hours on average a week do you think you put in, realistically speaking? Or, starting from the beginning, like how many did you put in when you first started out, and how many do you put in now?
Yeah, that's a good question because um, for me, I prioritize things based on end results. So if it takes me 20 hours to achieve one thing, that's what it takes. I don't box myself and say I'm going to work on my business for 60 to 80 hours a week and see what I get done. I think of it the other way around. What do I need to get done and how long is that going to take me? And that's what I focus on. So some weeks, I put in maybe 20, 30 hours. Other weeks it's like 80 to 100. And it just depends on what I need to accomplish. But I also compartmentalize things based on priority because I have multiple businesses, but not all those businesses hold the same level of priority in what I need to accomplish. So, one of the things I do to keep myself organized across the board is I look at what 2 or 3 things are absolute musts that I need to complete within a day or within a week for each of my businesses. And then based on that list that I come up with, I figure out of those things, which is the most important, and I work on those first. And however long it takes is however long it takes. But one of the things I've really been working on over the last year or two is becoming more efficient in how I manage that time. And I feel like I've gotten to a point where I recognize that there's maybe like a 5 to 6 hour window of opportunity for me every single day where I'm the most effective. And for me, sleep and rest for my mental state is very, very important because if I'm not rested, I can't function correctly. And that affects my business, that affects my partners, that affects my employees. And ultimately, that's going to affect everything around me. So I prioritize being able to take a step back and take a breather. So that's one of the things that's really, really important for me. So when I hit that 5 or 6 hour window of opportunity for me to be ultra productive, I really push myself to get things done because I know after a certain point in the day, I'm going to hit a slump, and mentally it's very fatiguing, and I force myself to take a break. So that break can be an hour, it can be 2.5 hours, whatever it is. And once I'm done with that, I can reevaluate where I'm at and what else I can accomplish in that day. And I kind of build my schedule around that. So I don't really normally focus on how many hours a week I'm actually putting in. I focus on what results am I getting and what do I need to accomplish. And then I work towards that.
And that is the perfect way to do it, because I've, speaking of my own experience, I do exactly that, because I would get the question too, it's like, how many hours a week do you work? I'm like, I don't know. And I'm the same, some weeks it's 30, some weeks 100. You just have to make it work.
Right.
Do you have like a system in place where you manage your task, like an urgent and important, or like a, this has to be done today, but realistically speaking, it's only going to be tomorrow. Like, do you push yourself to your limits to get certain tasks done, or are you just realistic about what is urgent and important and what is realistically the next one that you have to complete for the week, for example?
Yeah, so there's a lot of thought that goes into the prep for that. Okay. And there's a lot of tools that I use depending on what it is I'm trying to accomplish. Okay. So to kind of just like manage my thought process, I use a regular notebook. I have this little like Harry Potter notebook.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. It's so cool.
And I actually I don't know why, but I like to collect notebooks. I have almost a library full of notebooks, and I use them. I try to use them, but I use the notebook specifically to create lists and tasks. And then from there, I can manually, nothing can really replace that motion of writing on paper, whether it's with pen or pencil. And for me, that helps me it's almost therapeutic, but it also helps me to keep focused. And from there, I kind of organize all the things that I need to do, and I lump them into the categories based on the businesses, or if it's like a personal item that I need to take care of. And then from there, I can prioritize.
Okay.
And then other tools that I use at that point would be my calendar. I schedule things into the calendar and I set alarms and appointments. But I also use Trello, the app. I'm not sure if you've used that before, but I use that because I like the what is it called? The Kanban system of like the drop down. You can organize and set things by priority.
Yes.
I can move things over. Sorry, I just bumped the mic. I can move things over based on what stage they are in the process of completion. And then I also heavily rely on CRMs, or client relationship management software. Right now, the one I use the most is Podio. It's mostly because a lot of my clients are in real estate and that's what they use. So I have my own, workspace built out so that I can share things between clients and stuff.
Yeah.
But that helps me keep organized based on categories of work that I need to accomplish. And within those, I can set tasks and reminders for myself because like there's just so much going on. I can't remember all of it. And as things come to my head, the quickest way for me to get them out is pen and paper. So I always have a notebook with me and I just jot things down. And I have my own little like notation system of like symbols, like double star means got to do it like ASAP, or, like a circle means come back to this. And like I have a little system in place of how I organize my thoughts, and I review that note, those pages every day to make sure that I've completed all of those things. If not, I roll them over to the next day, and I just keep adding to that list and organizing myself that way. And for the most part, it has worked for me. I haven't really found another system yet that kind of helps me to stay focused. I think just having the notebook on hand is the fastest method for me.
Yes. And that's great advice because, I've got one too. I'll show you mine. There's mine. I've got States of Mind. I love New York. So that's like so I completely relate to that. And speaking to other entrepreneurs, a lot of them have little notebooks that they just juggle down like, notes or ideas or things. So that's really cool.
And one thing I would add to new entrepreneurs is that efficiency is critical. Yes. And having a notebook is great, but forcing your mind to prioritize things before you write it down is even more important. One of the things I used to do in college, again, like I mentioned a little bit ago, I think it was before we started recording, I have ADHD. It's severe. It's really bad. And one of the things I used to do is in my notebooks, actually what I would do is take a clipboard to class with me. And I would actually use printer paper because I had no lines. There was no distractions for me. And then I would take the page and kind of fold it over like that and then make a line down the side. So I would keep notes here of all the important major things. And then mostly like diagrams, because that's what I studied. I had to remember those things. Yeah. But I always had a voice recorder with me, and on that little side panel, I would mark the timestamp of that recorder. So if there was something that was really important that I needed to remember, yeah. I would keep track of where in that timestamp of the recording I needed to go back to listen to. And I do that also with my, even to this day, I don't fold the pages, but I do draw a line down to the side. And if there's something that's like super important, I'll write it off there, say, refer to, such email, or this time go here. And I'll, when I see that little column, I know that those like super, super important things for me to remember. Everything else is kind of just ancillary. It's there and I need to use it. But for new entrepreneurs, using a system like that and forcing yourself to use maybe 1 or 2 pages to organize all the thoughts you have for a single day will really help you with as a thought exercise in organizing yourself in your head before you put it on paper. And when you can start thinking like that several moves in advance, it also helps you to prepare on how you're going to manage, business activities, because there's so many things going on. There's so many variables that you just have to constantly be aware of what could possibly happen.
That is true. That is very true. And also important to take action on them.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously. I mean, if you're not, you're basically just writing down pipe dreams if you're not doing anything about it.
That's exactly true. So two more questions for you. So apart from, like the money side of a business, because obviously that is a driving factor for people as well, what else drives you in your businesses every day? Because not every person wake up and go, ooh, this day's going to be amazing, because, not everybody is like that. So,
Right,
when you get up in the morning, what is that thing that drives you to get you going,
It's doing something. I feel like going to a job traditionally has been, most people don't like it because it's monotonous and uh, it doesn't really validate you as a person. Most of the times you don't feel like you bring value to anybody else and they're not bringing value to you. It's like everybody shows up because they have to. But in the business world, there's always going to be things you don't want to do. But the thing that makes it easier to manage and accept is that when I do them, I get to do the things I really want to do. And because I'm really passionate about it, I kind of trick my mind into finding things I can be passionate about and the things I don't want to do. And it helps me to accomplish them, quicker, more efficiently. And one of those, the things or methods that you can eventually grow into at some point is hiring out some of those things, delegating to like a virtual assistant, or having an actual assistant, when you get to that point in your business where it's not just you anymore and you can afford to hire that help, that does, lift the burden off of you a little bit more so you can focus on the things you really, really want to do. But for me, the attraction to the business is being able to do something I really, really enjoy. Like here where I'm at right now, I'm actually in the media room of one of my biggest clients, Hilco Homes. So you can see their banner behind me. They're a wholesale real estate company. They're based out of here in San Antonio, and they sell contracts on properties. That's what they do. That's all their business is. And one of the things I love about coming to work for them every single day is I manage their media. So I'm in the media room. Most of the stuff they have in here is my equipment. And I love doing the podcast. I love helping them with the Facebook Live, even though I'm behind the camera most of the time, it's a passion of mine. I'm a numbers guy. So I run all of their back end data analytics. I help them figure out what zip codes they need to target when they do their mailer campaigns, or, what category of sellers we need to be focusing on, because that's what's working right now versus last quarter. That's fun for me. I know it's not fun for a lot of people, but for me, I get to wake up every day and show up and be like, yeah, this is really fun. I ask questions and I use the data to answer them. And that's exciting for me. But I mean, ultimately it's the flexibility and freedom that a business allows you to be able to do that. Like it stops being work at some point when you're having fun with it. And when you can choose which days you want to have that kind of fun versus stay at home with the family, that's where it gets really exciting.
Is that freedom to just love life. Yeah,
absolutely.
I completely get that. So tell us a little bit, what are you currently working on? What is your businesses? So tell us a little bit about your mega multi-mic businesses, how you work, and where people can find you, what type of services you've got. So I would say it's your 2 minutes of fame, and just, tell us all about it.
Yeah, for sure. So my brand, the Mega Multi-Mic, is actually closely tied with my consulting business, which is C&M Integrity Holdings. And my main business is my consulting business. So with that company, I bring my expertise of problem solving. I call myself a professional problem solver because that's what I do. I sit with business owners and with individuals and help them come up with solutions to be more efficient at what they do in their business, whether it's a workflow process, whether it's understanding product or service life cycle, whether it's customer service, whatever it is. There's an aspect to everybody's business that A, they don't want to look at or do, and that they're willing to outsource, and B, that could use some improvement. So that's what I do. And through that business, I have several partners that specialize in other things. So I have one gentleman who does video and photography. Like, that's his business. He has his own company. And together we partner up and share clients based on the kind of work that we're doing for them. I have another guy that does social media marketing. So I can come in and look at the data analytics side of things of their business and say, you need to be focusing on this demographic. And then my guy comes in and helps them build out a social media plan to attack that demographic. And I also have another guy on my team that builds websites. His specialty is like, is Squarespace. That's the website provider that he uses. And so I have a bunch of little, pieces all in play all the time with this one business. And that's kind of how I can manage the workload that I have. And from that, in addition to, my really wide, diverse background, I came up with the brand for the Mega Multi-Mic. And that brand is really, at this point, it's just kind of talking, getting that conversation of, as a entrepreneur pursuing multiple ventures, how do you balance those ventures? How do you stay organized and focused? And how do you also balance that with life? Yes. Life happens, whether it's good or bad, it's going to happen. We have no control of it. But, if you want to have a positive response or positive interaction with that balance, that's kind of the conversation I want to raise with the Mega Multi-Mic. Ultimately, I want to provide products and services that are catered towards what I'm calling the multipreneur. It's an entrepreneur that is doing multiple things at the same time, a little different than a serial entrepreneur who builds a business, they sell it, start a new one, just keep repeating the cycle. And I find that especially now, it's more common for people to have multiple businesses. They have their main thing, but then they have their like side stuff that if it comes up, hey, I can also do that, and that's kind of the spirit of the Mega Multi-Mic, is how do you make sure that all of those little things that you're doing can be successful, not just in your business life, but also your personal life. And, for some people, their spiritual, their mental life, how does that play out all together? And ultimately that's, the bulk of what I do. Like, I have other smaller businesses like Blood Moon Comics, which is a self-publishing comic book company. I do all the illustrations. My friend helps me with the writing. We've only done one short story publication, but it's because it's a hobby. That's we treat it like that. But we have plans for it, and part of my goals are to build up my main business enough that I can finance the operations of other smaller businesses like that, because that's a passion of mine. I also do real estate investing. That's one of the reasons why I work with Hilco Homes, because there's an alignment of interests. I understand the data side, and my mentor understands the finance side, and he's done it, and I'm learning from him on how to grow a real estate investment portfolio. So I do that as well. And there's just a lot of things that come my way, and I kind of evaluate as they come what's something I can do or not do. As far as working together, or if anybody wants to reach out to me, probably the quickest way is on Facebook. I have a Facebook page for C&M Integrity Holdings, a Facebook page for the Mega Multi-Mic. I also have Instagram pages. You can follow it there. I've created a YouTube channel, but I haven't really done anything with it. I'm still in the planning process of what the content's going to be. I launched a podcast for C&M Integrity Holdings, and so far there's only one episode that's up, and I'm working on content for that as well. But I do I'm the host of the Hilco Homes podcast, and we're on episode, I think, 65 now. So if you guys want to learn about real estate investing in Texas and in the U.S. market, definitely check that out. And we're always happy to answer questions for that show. But yeah, mostly social media, Facebook and Instagram. All my other contact details are there: email, phone number, business address if you want to send a letter, whatever, however you want to be in touch. But yeah, that's the best way to reach out to me.
So what we'll do is, as well, we will drop links in the in the bottom piece on the YouTube video, because it's going to go on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
And so we'll just drop links so people can find you.
Perfect.
On that. So one final question, Mark. If you can give any advice to somebody sitting on the fence thinking of becoming an entrepreneur, they're not exactly sure if that's for them, because, obviously I have family and work and all of those things. What is that advice that you would give to somebody that's sitting on the fence and thinking about it? That bug has kind of bitten them, but they're not there just yet. What advice would you give them?
Just do it. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? You end up in the same spot you're in.
Yes. That is very true.
Try it. I mean, you never know what could happen, and ask questions. I mean, that's the big thing. Most people, I mean, I've been meeting with a lot of really successful individuals in various industries, right? Mostly in real estate, because that's kind of what my main focus is right now. But I could say probably the number one thing that they all have in common is that none of them knew what they were doing when they got started. And if you're a new entrepreneur, or you're thinking about being an entrepreneur, just do it. I mean, who's going to say no other than you? Exactly. And what's the worst that could happen, right? I mean, just try it, give it a shot, ask questions, find someone who's done something that you want to do, and learn from them, and just give it a shot.
Yeah, that is really great advice. That is really, really great advice. Awesome. Thank you so much, Mark. I really appreciate your time. It has been very informative. I have learned myself a few things, I must admit. It's amazing.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
I think it was a pleasure this side as well. So thank you so very much. And I will definitely, we'll keep in touch.
Yeah, for sure.
So definitely we'll keep in touch. Awesome. Thank you so much, and have a good sleep, because I know you've been up late for us for this. So.
Yeah. Almost 13, 14 hours now. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Bye.